If you find yourself really wanting to prove to other people or let people know that this is an exception for you, or I'm eating a salad, you can eat the donut, I'm eating a salad, anything like that. I think if you're explaining and judging implicitly in that, then you're not actually enjoying the food. Nobody cares. Like literally nobody cares. You don't have to tell anybody why you do or don't eat something.
Welcome to The Lisa Show, where we take a good look at life. Are you sick of thinking about food? I don't mean dreaming of nachos. I personally never get tired of that. Side note, arranging chips on a baking sheet wide instead of tall is how you maximize cheese distribution. Side note from that, my local grocery store has a little hidden cheese clearance in the freezer section where they mark down all the little leftover pieces of fancy cheese that are too small to sell. You should check your local grocery store in case they do the same thing. This is a great way to try a lot of expensive cheese for very little money. Follow me for more nacho tips. Anyway, in a perfect world, all thinking about food would be like that, dreaming of new variations of what you love and plan to eat. But instead, we live in this world where we're constantly bombarded with mixed messages about food. Everyone's got an opinion on what other people should be eating or thinking about eating or saying about what they're thinking about what we're eating. You get it. So I think it's high time for a little reset. My friend Katie Miller specifically works with people to help them find balance and healthy mindsets around food. Meet Katie.
I'm Katie Miller, and I help people change their eating.
Such a loaded term, such a loaded topic for so many people. Like, I feel like there's a lot of conflicting information about don't worry and hyperfixate so much on what you eat, or be careful, watch what you eat, or don't eat this, don't put restrictions on it. Well, don't go crazy, be mindful. Well, don't be too aware, all of this stuff. Well, I'd love to hear your own journey of how you got to where you are now with having a good, healthy relationship with food and having the ability to help others with it.
I'm going to answer that actually with a visual. If you just imagine a V or a funnel, and at the bottom of the funnel is super restrictive, 100% compliance eating pattern, right? So some very strict diet. Going up to the top, at the very top is eat whatever you want, whenever you want it, like just free for all, right? For most of my adult life, I kind of just went back and forth between these two. And most of my pregnancies were up here. And then I'd gradually move down a little bit more structure. Maybe I'd get into restriction. And then I spent a lot of my adult years down here in this area of very rigid dieting and trying to be thin. And after the birth of my last child, I was like, I can't do this. I can't live down here. Mm-hmm. And also, it doesn't feel good to live up here either.
In the extremes.
The extremes. And it's just unsustainable. And it just doesn't feel good. So I really became fascinated and kind of obsessed with what does this happy medium look like? In the middle of these two extremes, what does that medium or happy eating zone or whatever you want to call it, how can I stay there where I have some structure, right? I'm not up here. I have some structure, but I'm also not in diet culture and I'm caring about my food, but I'm not being weird. What is that? What does that look like? And that became through a lot of trial and error, through a lot of learning. That's what I became really, really obsessed with, sustainable, healthy, happy eating. And then that's what I would help other people find, right? Mm-hmm. What is your place in between these two extremes? And also, I just want to say this, you can move. Let's say we find your happy eating for whatever season of life you're in. You can always shift up and shift down as needed if you need to lower your cholesterol and you need to kind of come down a little bit. If you are feeling like you've been down here for a long time, you need to lean into self-trust and flexibility. You can move up the funnel or up the V. But to know kind of what your baseline is, I think is so powerful. And I think a lot of people are missing that. It just feels like we're being pulled either toward diet culture, toward cultural expectations of being thin all the time, no matter the season of life you're in, or whatever, being pulled in that this is the highest and holiest value in our society, and being pulled in the other direction of ultra-processed refined foods and a U.S. food system that prioritizes corporate profits over public health. And so because of these forces, market forces really are pulling us on kind of it doesn't matter what you eat, right? If you just go with the flow, if you just eat whatever's available, if you eat whatever feels good, you might end up eating a lot of food that doesn't actually feel good, but feels good in the moment, but doesn't feel good to your body in the long run.
Is it nourishing?
Is it nourishing? Is it giving you the nutrients you need and the energy you need for your life? I think often it's very obvious that we get pulled down in this way into diet culture. That's what's very obvious. But I think sometimes in kind of rebelling against that, sometimes we lose nutrition or anything that feels like a boundary or a rule with food is like, whoa, don't diet though. Like you can't diet. Like, right?
Diets don't work.
They all
exactly.
Fail. They all fail.
Gain more weight if you do a diet.
100%. And so we lose any intention around like fruits and vegetables or just having whole grains and food. I don't want to say rules, but boundaries or personal policies or things that are important to us that matter for our long-term health. We kind of lose that because we don't want to be down here, but then it's throwing the baby out with the bathwater when we come back up here. So I don't feel like we talk about this enough, but when you have a society that really prioritizes on both ends corporate profit over health, do you know the term bliss point? Have you heard this before?
Mm-mm.
There are basically teams of people who work in food companies to find the bliss point, which is the optimal Dorito dust, right? Or the optimal creaminess.
Doing a really good job.
They are doing a phenomenal job.
Like a really good job, guys.
Right? Yeah. Kraft mac and cheese, all of these things, the optimal crunch. It's this point of like optimal release of dopamine, right?
Got it.
Food companies are working so hard to make their foods feel as addictive and cravey as possible because it's money, right? Then we will buy more of them. And so that's also a huge pull in this. Those foods are cheap and they're accessible and they're pleasurable and they're everywhere. Right? And it's not just Doritos. It's the Twinkies and the fruit snacks and the everything. You walk into the grocery store, it's the majority of the aisles, right?
I am struck by how many options there are for them. I keep thinking, how can they remain making a profit when there's so much variety?
Yeah. Like how many different types of Doritos are there?
And I'm like, yeah, get rid of them except for my favorite.
I know, right?
Except for nacho cheese.
And I decry this type of thing. I just am like, this is horrible. And if you walk into my house, there's Pop-Tarts in my fridge. I have all of this. It's the world we live in. And so we just have to find ways to be aware of that and know that there are forces on both of these ends pulling us. And it takes intention and work to stay in that happy medium, to not get sucked into like, what the heck, it doesn't matter. And into, I need to be overly restrictive and I need to manipulate my eating so that XYZ. You know?
I like that you're saying that it requires us to use intention when we're making food choices. And in the same breath, you are also explaining why it is that we all feel so drawn to these foods too, that there are forces that are outside of our control. And so being aware of them will help us to make better choices. And you can't just be like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
How did you come to learn this for yourself personally?
I read a really fantastic book called Salt, Sugar, Fat by Michael Moss. And it was this huge expose into the tobacco companies when they weren't tobacco companies anymore. They bought Nabisco and Kraft. And addictive marketing is what they do, is what they specialize in. And it's the biggest, I don't know if the word is gaslight. We are being marketed so heavily with the marketing, but also with the taste, with the crunch, even just what goes into a box of Pringles. Like once you pop, you can't stop. Or the sounds, like everything. We are being marketed so hard and so heavily. But then to be told, it's so weird. You can't stop eating our foods. That's probably a willpower thing. Like it's probably you. Maybe you should exercise more. It's so ridiculous that we're being sold to so aggressively in taste, biologically and psychologically. And then it's like, yeah, that's a you problem. Like,
also, like if you look at what a serving size is considered too, like 2 Oreos is a serving size. No, it's not. Give me a break.
100%.
Come on.
100%.
It's a sleeve.
It's a sleeve.
We all know it.
Yes. But yeah, it's so weird that we can't stop eating this stuff. But
interesting. So they're putting the responsibility on you. Like weird that you can't do that, that you don't have enough willpower.
Yeah.
That sounds like a you problem.
That sounds like a you problem.
Yeah. If there were one sort of myth or one sort of idea that people have about food that it just drives you crazy that you would love to debunk, what would it be? You can only choose one.
I would say that if there's anything out there that is so far away from fruits and vegetables, whole grains, proteins, healthy fats, like that really is the magic. And if there's someone out there that is saying something that is hugely contradictory to that or has some kind of secret formula or supplement or something that like you have to cut out an entire one of those, I would just be really, really skeptical. Also, I used to think that people were weird who ate tofu and like just
Yeah, same. Like as a kid, I was like, why would you in a million years? And now I'm like, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no. So I would say tofu is when I definitely changed my mind on. It's super healthy. It's really good for you. It's easy to make.
It sounds like you're saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth, that the basics of just eating whole grains, fruits and vegetables,
foods, real
fats,
food.
real food, protein is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stick with that.
Stick
Anybody
with that.
who's trying to say, actually, I have a different hack, be suspicious of that.
Yeah. I have some pills that will actually.
You can eat whatever you want.
You just have to take. Or anyone who says you have to cut out, or plants are bad for you, or you don't eat fruit, or any of that, I think would raise alarm bells to me.
That's interesting. What should we be wary of, or an alarm bell that should go off to say that we're off course from a healthy eating pattern?
Okay. I think the main thing to know if there's room for a little bit more joy, a little bit more agency in your relationship with food. Definitely not going into like eating disorder territory, like nothing like that. Just if your relationship with food could use a little bit more joy and a little bit more maybe sovereignty. Really watch the way that you talk about yourself and food. For example, here's a couple things that when people say, I get a little bit like, I will have people tell me, I think I have a pretty good relationship with food. And then later on in the conversation or the next day or whatever, I hear them or they'll tell me flat out like, I hate food. I wish I didn't have to eat it.
Wow.
And I hear that. If you're saying that once in a while, whatever. If you're saying that habitually and perpetually, that's concerning. Why do you hate food? Could you imagine if I was like, I'm working on my marriage.
Yeah.
We're making great progress in therapy.
Oh, awesome.
But I hate my husband. I wish I didn't have to be around him.
What?
Right? Like,
yeah.
It just is a little bit like...
That's so true. And you need it in order to live, too. Can you imagine somebody being like, I love air. It smells so good. I love the feeling in my lungs, but I hate breathing.
I hate it.
And you'd be super concerned.
Yeah, so that's one. I think anything that you say that is steeped in hatred, judgment of ourselves or other people, if you are taking what someone else is eating and judging it, like, oh, you're having a second piece of cake. What that really is saying is like, you don't feel good having that second piece of cake, right? Like there's a lot of projection there. Or, oh, you're eating a salad. I should be eating a salad. If you're taking things that other people are eating and then making it mean something about yourself, you don't actually have to do that. That is actually optional. And that is, I would say, indicative that there's something there to look at. There's something that you don't feel good about in yourself. And then when you see it being reflected in someone else, it leads you to make a really harsh judgment, either about that person or about yourself. I would say also language steeped in perfectionism or moralizing, like I was so good yesterday, or I ate so bad last week and I'm such a pig. That also indicates that you see food as good and bad and it's sinful or righteous. And then you feel that way maybe about yourself and you feel ashamed, or you feel really proud when you do good, but then what's the flip side of that? So food is just food. Food is just food. It's vitamins and minerals and carbohydrates and all of these components, but it is not being injected with any moral value. We don't have to do that.
But we do.
We do. We all do. I think we all do. It's really common to do that. Anybody who's like, oh, I'll start that Monday, or I'll start tomorrow, or I'll start next month, or I'll be healthy when. It implies a little bit that there is something really hard that you're about to do, and you don't want to do it now because it's going to be hard. And Monday, I'll have the energy or strength or willpower or the thing to do it. But not today. I'm just going to be me. A different time, I'm going to be someone else who likes eating healthy.
And that's a warning sign.
You're setting yourself up for a little bit of a dichotomy, like I'm off now, I'm going to be on then. But if you're off and then you're on, you're going to be off again,
Yeah, it implies that you can always get on and off.
On and off, right. Where if you're really striving to just be someone who eats healthy food, I think it's a little bit better to just be like, what am I going to eat for dinner tonight? What am I going to add to my dinner tonight? What does today look like? But anytime it's like, well, I'll do that then. I'll start Monday. I'll start tomorrow. It's like you're going to change something so drastically because it's going to be so difficult and challenging, which also implies you're going to go back to being you. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's not really how you feel.
Yeah, exactly.
You're acknowledging it.
Right.
Oh, that's so good.
And then, okay, the last one I would say is if you are over-explaining why you do or don't eat something, you're not enjoying it. So if you're like,
that's
you
a good
guys,
point.
I am having this donut. I don't usually have donuts. I just want you to know, like, this is special for me. This is different. Everybody's eating a donut. It's like,
you're like, get
it's
over
yummy.
yourself.
Nobody cares. Like, literally nobody cares. But if you find yourself really wanting to prove to other people or let people know that this is an exception for you, or I'm eating a salad. You can eat the donut. I'm eating a salad. Anything like that. I think if you're explaining and judging implicitly in that, then you're not actually enjoying the food. Nobody cares. Like, literally nobody cares. You don't have to tell anybody why you do or don't eat something.
That's so fascinating because we do live in a time where people over-explain what they're eating and what they're not eating and
Yes.
why. Which, now that you're describing it, I'm like, I wonder if my grandma sat around and talked with her friends and they were like, well, I'm not eating this anymore, but I do eat this.
Yeah.
And here's why. And I feel better. Oh, have you tried this? And you count this and you do that. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I can say, can't call her up. She's passed. But I'm pretty sure she didn't have that phenomenon.
Probably not.
And I bet my mom did. I bet my mom's generation did.
100%.
And so, and I know for sure I do.
Yeah.
So in just a short span, anecdotally, we've come a long way, not the right direction.
Yes. Yeah. No, 100%. I think that's a really great point of how would my grandma feel about being able to eat a donut or being able to.
It's different.
It's so different.
Grandma grew up in the Depression.
Yeah.
Didn't have anything. And so when you're saying that, I'm like, oh, food meant something different.
Yeah. 100%.
And actually, it's interesting because the stories that we tell ourselves and that we tell others about food, from what I'm hearing from you, are pretty important. And so now I'm thinking, oh, yeah, my grandmother was a grandmother that showed love through food.
Yeah.
And some people in the family hated that. Some people in the family loved that. They all had an opinion about it.
Yes.
That I knew that opinion as a small child. And boy, isn't that telling?
Yes.
And now as an adult, I think, oh, I know why she did that. How beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's food.
Yeah.
But it's just a tool. But we don't see it like that now.
Yeah.
We see it as a, hey, no, this is good, this is bad. Don't do this instead. So I want to ask you about the science of food, to be totally vulnerable. This is something that I like to hide behind. Well, we know now this, so now I will change what I eat or what I don't eat based on science. And this idea of like hacking your body and longevity, and we've learned this and that and the other. So it can give us a false, I'm talking for myself, a false sense of we eat this way now because we have the science and the information. What is your perspective on that?
I think we miss out on so much when we're so focused on optimization, or we're focused on getting it right, or focused on being perfect. We miss out on so much joy and so much fun and so much ease. I really, really, truly feel like eating healthy can be easy. Actually eating the food, actually eating blueberries is not hard. It might be hard to buy the blueberries or to afford the blueberries. There are things that are hard that make long-term, happy, healthy eating challenging for sure. But the actual act of eating food and healthy food isn't hard.
We've forgotten that.
Yes.
We've lost sight of it. It does feel like I need to meal prep, I need to buy fresh produce, and I need to repackage it to look a certain way or to keep it to lasting really long in the refrigerator. You know, like,
Yeah. I want to say something about meal prepping.
please.
Making decisions ahead of time about food is super important. I think when we hear the term meal prepping, it conjures up something different. That's
I
like,
have to go to Amazon or Target and buy
The
matching
boxes,
containers, and it's
the
just like
see-through.
a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. Yeah. And there's a whole
Which is
like,
not true, I know.
Yes,
But, 'cause
yeah.
I'm saying it, but I'm just saying it. It almost just seems like out of your reach, a little bit like a privileged problem.
Yeah.
A little like
Yeah.
classist sort of thing about
yeah.
what it looks like. Which,
Right. Like,
which
did
doesn't
grandma have the containers?
Yeah,
Right.
which doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah. It's also a narrative we see really common on social media, right? We'll see the containers and you see through in the labels and the fridge, and like, who lives like that?
I want to, but I don't, but I do.
It's appealing to just open your fridge and know that's your lunch and pull it out, right? That is that.
And no shame to anybody who
does
can
that.
do that. And if they're in the phase of life that they can do that.
Right.
Because sometimes, to be honest, I do that.
Yeah.
And I do like it because it feels like I'm taking care of myself.
Okay, so that's the point that I want in the meal prep. If you think it needs to look a certain way, there are dozens of ways that meal prep can look. It can.
That's the point.
This is the point. It can look like that. It can look like the containers. I've done that before too, right?
Do whatever you want.
Exactly. But there is more than one way to make decisions ahead of time about food. And also thinking about meal prep not in terms of a bunch of extra time. This isn't a bunch of extra time. When you walk into the kitchen and you open the fridge and it's lunchtime and you're hungry, you are in decision mode, right? You're trying to figure out what to eat and you're hungry, you're maybe grumpy, and you're like maybe gonna grab the first thing. What we wanna do is just have that decision made before you walk in, but you're still taking the time to make the decision. So it's a reallocation of decision-making time, not a bunch of extra additional time. Does that make sense?
Well
you're
said.
still making the decision. You're still taking the time to make the decision in
Think
the kitchen.
about when you're making the decision.
When you're making the decision, exactly.
You're going to have to make it regardless.
Yes.
So set yourself up for success and make the decision when
you're not starving, when you're not grumpy, when you haven't had a really long day at work, make the decision in a place where like, this is what I want to be eating. And then you make it as easy as you can in your environment to when you walk in, that is the first thing you see. It's already done for me. And it is an act of self-care. It really is like I'm nourishing myself. Yesterday me really cared about today me, and they put it right here for me and I'm going to eat it. But that can look like, just to give you an example, it can look like the containers. It can look like, I don't know what I'm going to want for lunch. I don't want to be nailed down. I have commitment issues maybe. What if I don't want the sandwich that day? So I'm going to have 3 options that are easy and ready to go. Or I'm always going to keep some frozen vegetables and some frozen salmon in my freezer, and I know that that's a 10-minute in the air fryer type thing, and I know it's there, and that can always be there if whatever I wanted doesn't work. Also with neurodivergence, with certain types of mental struggles, mental illness, I think finding a way to think ahead about your food, make those decisions to make your environment work for you, it's never going to be like someone else's thing. You know, you really have to find ways that work for your brain. And that might look like eating the same lunch every day for 3 weeks. Like
I know some people love that.
Yeah.
And I would not.
I wouldn't either.
But how great if you
Totally.
just know what works for you and
you
it
just
makes you feel good and you
Right.
just do it. Like, why is that the worst thing in the world?
Right. You eat it for however long and then you get sick of it and then you go on to something else.
It feels like you're coming back to this idea of intention.
Yes.
You've got to think about it ahead of time.
We just need to find ways that work for your life, your kids' soccer practice, your job, your family schedule, and it can actually work for you.
I like this, and I think it's an encouraging thought because it's getting people to reimagine the false narratives, the stories they tell themselves in their heads that may not be true, and to say, hey, that story may not be true. Let me give you an example. Give me some examples that people could be inspired by, because obviously you're not all going to do the same thing, but it could get you to start thinking about it in a different way.
Yes. For example, everybody should be eating more potatoes. They're low in calories, they're cheap, they're high in fiber, vitamin C, B6, potassium.
I got a bag of potatoes at my house right now, just being ready to, I don't know.
Okay, you take that potato.
Okay, tell me.
And you cut it like an X in the potato.
Okay.
You put it in the microwave. 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Let it sit for 2 minutes after. It's going to be really hot.
Oh, yeah.
Hot potato. Let it sit there.
It's a thing. It's a game and a thing.
It is. It's popular for a reason. And then you pull it out, salt and pepper, and you just eat a warm, salty potato. That will keep you full any time of the day, anytime you need a snack. Potatoes are number 1 on the satiety index, meaning per calorie, they are the most satisfying food.
They are satisfying.
They are so, who doesn't love a potato?
I'm like
You take the
salivating.
potato.
I also want to put butter and cheese on that potato.
I was going to bring you a potato today because, but I was. I'll give you one next time I see you.
Thanks. Okay.
You're welcome. And that's the thing is, right, like, would you only eat apples if they were caramel apples? Can you just eat an apple? Just for a snack on a Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah.
It's under 5 minutes. It's satisfying. It'll give you energy. I love potatoes so much.
I love potatoes.
I love potatoes. And oh my gosh.
Let's just think about all the ways we like potatoes.
If I started a podcast,
it would be called Potato. No, it would be called Potato.
Potato. I have actually thought of that one.
You should.
I would talk about all the different varieties of potatoes, red potatoes, russets, Japanese sweets, all the health benefits of the different varieties, different ways to cook them.
I'm having potatoes for dinner tonight.
Seriously. All that to say, like, just a plain potato is easy.
Yeah.
it's in the microwave.
This is a great example
it's
of
an
when
example
you're trying
of, like,
to illustrate of, like, we are making this harder than you think.
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't have to be this 5 to 12 step.
Yes.
Prepare your potato like this.
Yes. And you can microwave Brussels sprouts. You can open a can of vegetables. You can eat a pepper. You can eat a red pepper. I eat them like apples. You can just like munch on it. Right?
I want to play this game. I love apples and stuff, but I never would sit down and cut apples. Now I slice apples like thin, really thin.
Luxurious.
And I feel like a fancy lady. I love it so much.
That's
and
real.
Then it's like a potato chip.
Yes.
'Cause it's got the crunch,
The snap.
but it's sweet. And I find that when I slice them really thin like that, then my kids are like, my adult kids when they come over, not all the time, to grab like them more than if I just, cut an apple in half and just ate, or whatever, or just
100%.
ate a whole apple or whatever. Like texture matters. It's the same thing. I was like, I don't really like Brussels sprouts until I started shaving them. And they were like all shaved and then crispy. And I was like, I love Brussels sprouts. Texture matters. Things matter. Knowing how, like, your own tastes instead of saying eat more vegetables. I find that it's more helpful to be like, what are your favorite ways to eat them?
Totally. I mean, roasting vegetables makes them 100 times sweeter. And the crunch and the little bit of char. I don't like a Brussels sprout either, but you microwave it and then throw it under the broiler with a little oil and salt and pepper. Right? And that little flaky like crunch. I could talk the whole time just about food. It's okay to take shortcuts. It's okay to make it work for you. There are so many different ways that you can make this so much easier for yourself by not thinking it has to look a certain way.
Eating healthy doesn't have to be complicated. I love this advice from Katie. In a social media saturated world where bronzed influencers toss 30 ingredient salads on their pristine marble countertops and call it effortless and biohacking, a potato is actually good enough. Actually, it's better than good enough. It's genuinely nourishing for you and enjoyable in its natural state. Give or take a little bit of cheese if you're me, or cinnamon sugar on the Japanese sweet variety if you're Katie. Full disclosure, I actually had to cut a lot of really amazing potato discussion out of this episode, which you'll have to find on Instagram, or possibly on Katie's upcoming Potato Potato podcast, which I really hope she makes. I know she's got the material. Most importantly, you can lean into whatever methods make it easier for you to eat more whole grains, fruits, vegetables, protein, and healthy fats. The trick is to keep checking in with your own mind and body. It's not about how it looks. You don't need matching glass containers and a label maker, unless that genuinely brings you joy. Unlike the hype and trends and the general food noise we've all heard, these are not actually decisions of good and bad, right and wrong. If you find yourself explaining to your friends, your family, or your coworkers why you're eating something or not, pay attention to that language and give yourself permission to let go of the judgment. Food isn't a moral thing, and we can support each other in having healthy mindsets by getting rid of the commentary. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a potato to microwave.
The Lisa Show is a production of BYU Radio, hosted by Lisa Valentine Clark. This episode was produced by Becca Hurley-Lung, with help from Erica Price, Blake Morse, and Kenny Mears, with post-production by Kip Merrill. A special thanks to today's guest, Katie Miller. A link to her book will be in the show notes. Don't miss out on 2 other amazing podcasts from the Lisa Show family, The Council of Moms and Proofread, a new book review podcast to help you read more of what you love. You can find The Council of Moms and Proofread on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. As always, thanks for your messages. We read them all, and thanks for listening.
Hey, it's Lisa Valentine Clark, and I have some exciting news. There's a new podcast out now called Constant Wonder Kids, adapting stories from the Signal Award-winning podcast Constant Wonder. Constant Wonder Kids curates these stories into little adventures for your little explorers. Everyday moments become extraordinary nature explorations as we dive deep into the ocean with whale sharks or cheer for tiny athletes at the Hedgehog Olympic Games. Perfect for when your brain's got an itch that needs to be scratched. You can listen to Constant Wonder Kids on the BYU Radio app or wherever you get your podcasts.